One of my favorite parts of the Warhammer hobby is collecting. I like having a lot of something very specific. I get to acquire a lot of really specialized information, and it feels like I am the keeper of secrets of this one specific thing. Some people collect retro models, some people collect all of one type of model, and I collect Chaplain models. Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to Eons of Battle, and today I want to talk about my Chaplains. I have a few. Maybe a few more than a few. The story of my Chaplains begins with this model, a jump Chaplain. I bought this as my first HQ for the Black Templar. I was in the process of converting all of my Black Templar Crusaders into Assault Marines, and I wanted a jump Chaplain to give me a good melee boost. And this model is what opened the floodgates. I immediately dived into doing as much research as I could on every Chaplain model Games Workshop has ever created, and I discovered they have made a lot. So I want to go through all of the Chaplains that I have done, all the Chaplains that are sitting in my pile of shame, and maybe at the end do a little bit of wish listing. So to start things off, the Jump Chaplain. The first Chaplain I painted, when I had finished this guy, it was the best model I had ever painted in my life. And the very next day, a stray Nerf bullet knocked him over and broke him, so I had to glue them all back together. But he was my first Chaplain, and he is one of my all-time favorites. The next one I did was the Terminator Chaplin. This model is super dope. I started to really get into converting these guys. This guy has a bunch of extra tassels. He's got a little skull. He's got a couple little skull friends all over. And this model has also broken and I had to glue them back together. Good old resin miniatures. Ooh, I love him so. And on his little skull helmet, I did some object source lighting on his eyes, and I posted this model online, and people said that he was very like kawaii anime blush, and I absolutely loved it. And so I made the OSL stronger to make that more apparent. The next Chaplain model I did must have been this guy, a retro. This, I believe, is a second or third edition Terminator Chaplin. I think I got this original in blister, and so that's how I managed to acquire the correct backpack with the banner, and I made the banner out of tin, and it was very, very hard to do, and I really, really like him, and I think I actually have the best one of this model. These guys, they're pretty dopey looking, and their details are very, very, very soft, and I think I did a very good job of making him as good as he could possibly be. Terminators. Ooh, who was next? Who was next? Who was next? It must have been this guy. I painted this on camera. There's a very good video of me painting this model in its entirety. This is another second or third edition Space Marine Chaplain model, and it is absolutely lovely. Painted in the Black Templar color scheme, I started to really kind of figure out what I like to do with my Chaplains. Like on his Crosius' handle, it has stripes of purple and pink, and that is something that I tried to carry through with all of my Chaplains. But this guy is great. Check out the video, and yeah, he's really, really cool. And I used a second edition Space Marine arm, and I attached to that sprue was this knife, and so I attached the knife into the ground just to make him a little bit more of the era. After him, it must have been the biker Chaplains. The first one I painted was this, the Primaris on bike. This model is one of the coolest Space Marine models that exists. It is so awesome. It is so epic. It painted up so nice. And I remember painting this up on stream. This is one of the very first things I did on stream. And I remember I actually built this model on stream, and it taught me that I can't build models on stream because it's too hard to put together models and interact with the chat. It's much easier to interact in paint. But I super, super love how this miniature turned out. And of course, knowing that I now had a Chaplain collection exploding in front of me, I needed more. And so then came the third through fifth edition Chaplain on bike. This is a metal model on a plastic bike. I did a little bit of fun converting, mostly just some extra purity seals and some etched brass to make it a little bit more Black Templar-y. I think I did a really good job on his bald head and the little wire running from his brain to somewhere. And I super love it, and I love his cute little tassel. Oh, it's absolutely adorable. I just love the idea of this guy charging into battle, and that little thing goes just super fast. I absolutely love it. And then to finish off my chaplains on bikes, this, I think I called it my Rogue Trader Chaplain, which is a little bit wrong because this is actually a kit bashing of a few different kits together. It is the body of the Chaplain on jet bike, the 3rd edition Space Marine bike, and I don't quite know where these legs came from, but I'm guessing probably somewhere in 3rd edition. But it makes for a really good looking ensemble, and I got to do some really fun stuff on the front of this bike. It's got kind of a Judge Dredd thing going on. I really dig how this model came together, and in my opinion, this looks better than the Rogue Trader Chaplain on bike, which you guys might see in just a little bit. But moving on to more minis. Ooh, it must have been this. No, it was this guy. I remember now. The 30K Chaplain, just a cool little model I picked up from eBay, and it turned out really good. Sometimes there's minis that just work. They just kind of, the posing, the sculpting, it all just really looks nice. And this is one of those models. The cape turned out phenomenally. The pistol turned out phenomenally. Level plasma pistol. And so I've tried to include as many plasma pistols as I could. I think his Crosius is one of my favorites. It's probably the most practical looking. Just a really nice mini. Then I had a video where I put together this model, which is a Chaplain on jet bike, a Rogue Trader Chaplain on jet bike. And this actually uses the correct parts, but I have converted it to be a Chapter Ancient. It's now on a 40mm base. It has a custom banner made out of green stuff. His Crosius is actually the topper of the banner. I really like that little thing. I'm pretty darn happy with this dust cloud, and I think that this model will make a really good, I could run this as a Primaris Chaplin because of the 40mm base. I could run this as a Chapter Ancient, Primaris Chapter Ancient. I could run this a lot of different ways, and I think it'd be really fun to see a Rogue Trader model get table time. Pretty sure I painted this guy. No. Maybe. It was the Judiciar, which I used to call the Judicar, because I like those hard consonants. But no, it's the Judiciar, because I read an audiobook and they said it many times. But another model I think that just kind of works out. This guy has a fairly simple paint job in his armor, but I truly try to do a really good job on the leather. I actually tried oils on the leather, and I think it turned out really nice. So this guy is super cool. It's interesting how he fits into the lore of chaplains. He's like a proto-chaplain. He's a Marine who's a little bit more badass and zealous than your average Marine. And so they make him a Judiciar, and then if he proves himself as a Judiciar, he is then taken into the ranks of the Chaplains. But it's really cool mini. And then on stream, I painted the best model I have ever painted. The Black Templar 2020 limited edition Chaplain in Terminator armor. And this model is super dope. It is the same as the old Chaplain in Terminator armor limited edition mini, but they kind of fixed it a little. It feels a little bit more in keeping with the proportions and the design philosophies of 40K. And I love this model. It is definitely the best thing I have ever painted. The cloak is amazing. This model was like a 30-hour model. It really took some time, but I really like how it turned out. But after spending so much time on this, I think the next 200 projects are all gonna have to be short and sweet because this guy really took it out of me. And then a few more stream pieces. I believe I painted all 3 of these at the same time on stream. It is the OG Chaplain. This was what people thought of as a Chaplain forever. It's been available through many editions and just recently left the Games Workshop web store, but it is the old, tiny, microscopic resin Chaplain. I love him. I love his big old skull shoulder pad, and I think he looks great. Then, an interesting Chaplain, the Chaplain with Power Fist and Crosius, and I can't imagine that is a combination many people take, because is it really, I mean, you're giving up a chance to use a gun, like a plasma pistol or a bolt pistol, so that you can have 2 close combat weapons, but you can't use 2 close combat weapons. You have to pick one or the other, but it does make for a really cool pose and a really cool Chaplain. and I gave him some custom stuff, some custom pieces out of the Black Templar upgrade box, and to help Black Templars them up. One thing that is kind of interesting with the Chaplains is Chaplains are black, they wear black armor specifically for their role as Chaplains, but in most armies that means a departing from the normal color scheme, but for Black Templars it just means I continue the black armor right into them. But Chaplain with Crosius and Power Fist, and then lastly, the new, and in my opinion, improved Primaris Chaplin. I think this guy is absolutely dope. This is the Indomitus model, and he has so many wonderful things like his Crosius, his heavy bolt pistol, and this backpack. I've actually bought several of this model off of eBay when he was nice and cheap so that I could use some of those bits on others of my models, but I super duper like this guy. I like that he's missing his helmets, because sometimes skull helmets get a little boring when you've done like 14 of them, but I really, really like him. And that means that I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 finished, based, painted Chaplains. I think that is a good, solid number, and I plan to add to it in the very near future. This is my little pile of waiting in the wings, ready to be painted and put together in based Chaplains. Let's go oldest first, because they're probably the most fun. This is the real Rogue Trader Chaplain on bike. The bike, boy, does the bike look like a big pile of mush. The rider also kind of looks like a big pile of mush. He has the saddest little banner I have ever seen, which is topped with a bat. Because the sculptor just was feeling bats that day, I don't know. His butt barely fits in the seat. The wheels are redonkulous, and for sure one day I'll have to do this, but boy, is it gonna take some work to salvage the sculpt work of this Rogue Trader era bike. Then I have 2 more Rogue Trader era Chaplains. One that I'm very satisfied with, the old, weird skinny boy Chaplain with plasma pistol. As I said, I love plasma and I try to get as many as I can, and so this one has a significant shot of seeing table time because of that plasma pistol. Other than that though, I don't think he looks particularly great. The Crosius looks like a Dalek from Doctor Who, and I don't know how I'm gonna get a backpack recessed in between his giant bowling ball shoulder pads. And then lastly, I actually did a little bit of modeling on this guy. This is another Rogue Trader Chaplain, sculpted a little bit better. I don't know the exact timeline when all of these miniatures came out, but I know it is a Rogue Trader era Chaplain with chainsaw and bolt pistol. And it is the cutest Widow bolt pistol and the cutest Widow chainsaw you've ever seen. This guy, at least he's like got a decent pose going on, and his banner actually exists. I've added a couple of extra purity seals to help Templars him up, and I have him standing on a nice scenic base. But those are my 3 remaining Rogue Trader era Chaplains, and now moving on to some more 2nd through like 4th edition Chaplains. This guy is really, really fun, just holding his Crosius up to the sky. He's neat. I think there's probably a reason I haven't gotten around to him yet, but he will get done, and he'll look glorious. Plenty of nice pink-purple stripes on that big, long Crosius staff. This one I found on eBay, and I actually didn't quite know what I was buying, but this is the Ultramarines unique Chaplain, and I forget the name of him right now, but what really drew me to this guy was this Chaos Power Fist. This is a OG plastic Chaos Power Fist, and I think it looks sick in his hand. I really, really dug it. So I glued it on properly. I found in my bits bin a metal Black Templar shoulder pad, which I think is just the perfect touch to tie it all together. And this guy I really, really like. I think he's gonna end up really, really cool. And this guy, just good old fashioned 3rd edition Black Templar Chaplain. Well, one thing I found was his shoulder pads were pretty tiny, and so I actually took a normal shoulder pad and I cut off the rim so that it was much more closer in size, and then I glued on a plasma gun because I do like plasma guns. And I think I wasn't feeling this model as much, so I did a lot of work. I gave it some long tassels out of tin, I gave it a plasma pistol, I gave it a custom shoulder pad, and now I feel like it's going to look good next to the other Chaplains. Then we have the other plastic Ultramarines Chaplain, Chaplain Cassius, probably because it has his name written on his shoulder pad, for me, so that I can remember. This guy is pretty badass. He came in Deathwatch Overkill with the other squad of super badass Space Marines, and he looks good. He's a little weenie by today's standards, but he'll get the job done, and I think I will paint him up, especially since he's Deathwatch, and the Deathwatch often join up with other forces, but he looks really, really nice. He's a good old modern model. And lastly, kind of a weird pick. I don't quite know why I bought this. I wasn't planning on expanding this into every Chaplain ever made because I don't necessarily feel like I need Blood Angels Chaplains, but I guess I felt like I needed a Dark Angels Chaplain. This is the special edition Dark Angels Interrogator Chaplain from Dark Vengeance. This didn't come in the original Dark Vengeance, but I think it came in the reprinting of Dark Vengeance. And I think I just like the model a lot. It's pretty badass, and I think I'll get around to it one day, although it will need a good stripping because holy moly, is this some chalky, chunky white paint on him. Not great, but kind of a cool model. And maybe I will go after some of the chapter-specific Chaplains that I really like the look of. But those are all of the Chaplain models I own. Some of the Chaplains I think I need the original Primaris Chaplin that came out. I know it doesn't have a very 40K look. It has much more of like a video game shooter look to it, but I still like it and I want it in the army. In terms of some of the older stuff, there's one Chaplain I'm missing. It's the Chaplain that has the big giant like scroll hanging down his entire front and then dragging at his feet. And then he's just got a nice meaty claw on a fat Crosius. So I'll probably track him down in metal one of these days. Other than that though, the only thing I'm really missing is a whole bunch of Rogue Trader Chaplains, which I don't feel like I need, because there's about 10, and they all look real bad. So I think I'm very happy with the 3 I have, and I don't feel like I need to track down the other ones and acquire them. Maybe one day so I can say I own every Chaplain model ever made, but probably not. But though these are all of my Chaplains. I love them, and I feel like this is the one thing I allow myself to collect, because there's a lot of things I think are really, really cool, but if I keep it to just Chaplains, it limits me, which is good, because I shouldn't collect everything. I should just collect one thing. So I don't own every single Chaplain model, but that does not mean that this is a failure. Not even a little bit. It just means that the hunt is still on. And for me, that is where the fun is. The satisfaction is not in crossing the finish line, but it is in the searching, finding, buying, building, converting, painting, and then admiring when it is on the shelf. And to me, that is the true meaning of Christmas. I mean collecting. In addition to the occasional opinion piece like this, we make simple hobby tutorials every week, and if you want more, you might consider supporting us over on Patreon. Over there, you'll gain access to some behind the scenes, hobby hangouts, terrain STLs, and more exclusive content. If you enjoyed hearing me ramble about my Chaplains, you might be interested in this video where I rank every 40K sidekick character. Games Workshop's weirdest obsession. Find this video and lots more like it on our Hot Takes playlist. But that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, thanks for watching.